You may have noticed the sun is getting a lot higher in the sky, and that means several different things. I'm 13 News meteorologist Matt Standridge. It's always fun in kind of mid to late spring to let folks know that, hey, we are already close to some of our highest sun angles of the year. As you guys know, as we orbit around the sun, we're at a certain tilt, but at different positions in our orbit, the sun is in a different position in the sky. For Indiana specifically, and we're really even talking about Indianapolis because everyone's going to have slightly a different degree, but roughly in December, when we have our shortest days, the sun is really low in the sky. In fact, it's only 27 degrees above the horizon. Remember geometry class? I know you probably wanted to get that out of your memory, but this is not perfectly to scale. This is just kind of representation, but it's only 27 degrees up. If you kind of notice in December, there's a little bit more of a soft glow to the sky when you do have the sun out, kind of more like a golden hour type of thing because it is so low and you get more of those orangey skies when you do have some sun. But as we progress through the year, the sun gets higher and higher. And then look, once you get to April, here's the April sun. We're at 70 degrees. That's a big difference. You get more of the kind of a bright blue sky out there. April has the same sun angle as, get this, in August. It kind of just seems wonky. But hear me out. In June, summer solstice, it can be the 20th, 21st, 22nd, kind of depending on the year. But that's when the sun is at its highest in the sky. That is our longest day of the year. So from there on out, the sun actually starts to drop throughout the summer. Now we can still get warmer because we're still getting so much heat from the sun. So the summer months are still very warm. But our August sun is the same as an April sun. So when you're thinking about, going to the beach, headed out to the pool, you get the sunscreen on, we go through that whole thing, right? But sometimes it kind of feels weird to say, hey, make sure you put your sunscreen on in April. First off, we're still in our rainy season, so on the days that you have clouds, some folks, you may want to still put a little bit of sunscreen depending on the thickness of the clouds. But in April on sunny days, we're just as intense with the solar radiation coming at us as in August with that 70 degrees. We're almost towards the peak. Really, April, May, June, July, and August. This is kind of that 5-month stretch where you really want to consider some of that sunscreen. And then we continue to go back down as we head into fall and eventually winter. All these sun angles are the top sun angle that we have at solar noon. So, of course, the sun's got to rise, so then it's at 0 degrees and go up and down. But this is what the highest that it will reach there in the middle of the month for each of these months. Kind of cool. So once we're factoring that in, kind of mentioned it earlier, UV index. And we'll have more on this as we get into the summer months. But here are your top, generally, UV indexes that we get kind of on an average sunny day all throughout the year. And we barely register there in January and December. Now, we've also factored in some extra clouds. And so December technically would have the lowest UV index, but January is even extra cloudier sometimes. And so we kept that at a 1, 2. So they're kind of equal when it comes to UV index. So there is a little bit of a cloud factor, but on sunny days, in the month of April and May, we're at 7, 8, 9 for these UV indexes. And at that point, you've got to start considering some sunscreen. We peaked there in June. It's not the warmest month of the year. You would think it would peak in July or August or something like that. It doesn't. Even though these are the warmer months, the solar radiation itself peaks there in June. And when we talk about these UV indexes, they just seem like a bunch of numbers. So here's a kind of a neat way to look at it for real world situations, right? Who cares what a UV index 11 means? What actually does it mean? I just don't want to hear 11. Well, when we go through the scale, UV index 11 means you can sunburn in easy as just 10 minutes. That's all you need. 10, UV of 10, sunburn in 15, UV of 9, 20 minutes, UV of 8, 30 minutes, and UV of 7, 40 minutes. So in April, we're at the UV 7. So we still got a ways to go, but we bring this up because this is the time of year everyone's headed to their local nursery, they're headed to the hardware store, even some of the grocery stores have them too. You want to start planning, right? You're working on kind of the new garden beds, or maybe you're just kind of doing new landscaping, new flowers. When you're out there, or maybe even your first mows, when you're out there, you really want to consider some sunscreen. And no, it seems crazy. We get people getting sunburned and kind of calling us, hey, I got sunburned in March. That's definitely possible in some of these sunnier days. But really in April, you've really got to consider putting on some sunscreen as the UV index is high and the solar radiation is high, just because the sun is higher in the sky. But here was one more note, and then we'll kind of wrap things up. I was talking with a farmer a couple days ago, and they really like the higher sun in the sky because when it rains a whole lot, a higher sun angle, more solar radiation, you can hopefully evaporate the water just a little bit faster. Sometimes when we get flooding in March and early April, it's really hard to get the water out. But when you get more flooding events later into the season, they can be just as detrimental, but sometimes they can be evaporated a little bit faster if you can get those warm sunny days on the backside. So farmers are happy, they don't, because they're planting right now. The last thing they want is flooding to take place and ruin that crop. Flooding can still happen. We are definitely in the rainy season and our storm season, but with a higher sun angle, hopefully can dry out those fields just a little bit faster. But then the also thing you got to consider is we keep the sun angle pretty high, of course, all the way through the summer, and then that does the opposite effect. It starts really drying out the ground and you can head into some drought conditions. So we'll see what this year brings, but we've had a lot of water. It's been a rainy start to the season, and we've got high sun angles. So we'll be watching a bunch of things as we head into the rest of your spring and summer, but we want to give you a heads up. Make sure you put the sunscreen on. It is already that time of year.